Hello, hi, thank you, Levi. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the Charlotte Tilbury Smokey Eyes Are Forever palette. This is a new holiday palette from Charlotte Tilbury. She comes out with one of these every single year. I bought the one last year and then also the one this year, which I will compare for you. So, I need water. Why did I sit down without water? So in all of these holiday palettes, or the bigger palettes, they are usually $75 each. This one is no exception. This one has black lacquer packaging compared to last year's palette, which was a silver sparkly package. The larger palettes come with 12 shades and it's separated in threes. So each 3 shades gives you one cohesive look, which is really easy on the eyes and easy to use whenever you're actually using it. The 4 trios are Love Eyes, Power Eyes, Happy Eyes, and then Confident Eyes. So I think the biggest question when it comes to a palette review, the one question we're all looking forward for it to be answered, is this palette worth it? So I think that this palette is very different from last year's palette. If you know Charlotte Tilbury's brand already, you know that the shadows are always really good quality, always super smooth and creamy. There's really not a problem with the quality in this one, with a couple of exceptions. I think it has a good balance of matte to shimmer in this one, and I think she played around with a couple of different glitter formulas, which actually work out really, really well. The first trio I want to talk about, the Love Eyes trio. This is kind of more of a pastel-y pink trio. This one looks really close to the Pillow Talk quad. So for reference, the other quads that she normally comes out with, not at holiday time, are $53 just for 4 shades. So I feel like this is really the best deal when it comes to Charlotte Tilbury's eyeshadows. So you get 12 shades, $75 for the whole palette. Starting off with the first trio is the Love Eyes trio. Okay, so this one is a pastel pink color scheme. It has 1 matte and 2 shimmers. The matte is really, really light on my skin tone. I have kind of a light medium skin tone, and this one barely shows up. So I'm not sure who this is for. Okay, so the one thing I will say is that it kind of acts as an eraser for some of the other mattes in this palette. Now that I think about it, I think I will use that more often than I give it credit for. But on its own, it doesn't really hold a lot of pigment. So the other 2 shades, there is a shimmer pink and then a shimmer kind of pearly, almost a glittery formula. Yesterday I put together a look with just the Love Eyes shades plus the 1 matte from the Power Eyes shades. I think that all of these shades work out fantastically with the exception of the eraser shade, which I'm now going to call it. Yeah, I think that the shimmers are just as good as you would expect from Charlotte Tilbury, and yeah, really no complaints. I think it's a really nice everyday look and it's really easy to throw on and throw together. So the next grouping of colors are the Power Eye shades. So these are the green shades in the palette. I actually really was not looking forward to these shades. I don't usually wear green. I don't know why. It's actually really flattering on brown eyes, and especially these tones. Today, I actually threw these on and tested them out. For the Power Eye shades, there's one mid-tone, I would say, neutral brown matte, and I think that this is really the anchoring shade in the palette. I think you could use the shade with every single color and it looks fantastic. On top of that, there's 2 other green shimmers in the palette. One in the middle is obviously the greenest of the 3, and then the one next to it is kind of browny. I put the matte in the crease and then I topped the lid with the 3rd shimmer in the Power Eyes trio, and then I put the center green on the center of the eyelid. There we go. That's what I want to say. That's how I'm gonna say it, okay? I think that this actually turned out a lot better than I thought it was going to, and it was just a really easy green look to work with. I think it's really flattering and it's not too green. So really strikes a good balance and I like it. So moving on, the next shades are the Happy Eyes shades. So these are the reds in the palette. There's 2 shimmers and 1 matte again. This one, I was afraid it was gonna look too similar to the last holiday palette, but this one is actually a lot more burnt red instead of just straight up red. So today I put together a look, again, using the matte in the crease and underneath on the lower lash line. And then I topped it with the center red shimmer. And then in the very center of the eye, I used the kind of gold coppery shimmer. So the gold coppery shimmer really just takes it to a whole nother level. It's kind of more of a glittery shimmer compared to the red one. And hello. Yeah, I just think that it made for a really good look, and it didn't make it look too red. I think that it brought a lot of warmth, but not being too red. All three of those shades in that trio are really good quality and really easy to work with. Okay, so the last trio in the palette is called the Confident Eyes Trio. This one has 2 mattes and 1 shimmer. The 1 shimmer is kind of a pretty mid-tone pink, and then there's a dark brown matte with a little bit of purple behind it, and then a true black. Whenever I swatched these 3, it looked to me as though the black was not going to be a very good black. It doesn't swatch very nicely, has very little opacity behind the swatch. It's just, I thought it was going to be trash, quite honestly. Today I put together a look with these 3, and I used the black as the main focal point. If they're going to put a black in the palette, I expect it to be amazing. Blacks are really hard to formulate when it comes to matte eyeshadows, mostly because it's hard to create one that's blendable enough but still looks black and doesn't look gray. So they actually did a really good job with this. I really like it whenever palettes have a black in the palette because I usually use black eyeshadow as an eyeliner. Today that's what I actually did. I put a little wing in the outer corner with this black. Yeah, it's kind of the biggest reason why this is probably going to be one of my new everyday palettes, just because it gives a lot of variety, it gives a lot of options, and honestly it just fits right in with what I do on a day-to-day basis. So finishing up the Confident Eyes palette, I like the brown, the chocolatey brown in here, but I don't know if I would get much use out of it personally. It's just the undertones of this are quite purpley and plummy, and I don't really prefer those undertones. It doesn't really work out with my skin tone. That's the only shade that I'm not sure if I will use it quite that much, but I like that it has it in there and it's a good option. This isn't catering to just me. There are more people than just me that will use this palette. And then this shimmer in the palette, I like it, but it already looks like it's kind of starting to hard pan a little bit. I had the same problem with a shade that looks similar from last holiday's palette. They look really similar in tone. The one from last holiday's palette is much more purpley than this one. This one is much more true pink, but both of them kind of are reacting the same way. They kind of hard pan whenever you touch them. It's just not as nice as the other shimmers, and you can tell. It still looks really good and I will still wear it, but that's something to keep note of if you're answering the question, is this palette worth it? So overall, I loved all of the shades with the exception of the chocolate brown, and really the white one kind of seems like a waste of space. Okay, so final thoughts. So I think that if you are comparing this palette to last year's palette, maybe you were hesitant about last year's palette, it was much more warm than this one, and I think this one strikes a perfect balance of being quite neutral in tones. All of the shades, for the most part, are fairly neutral leaning. I think that will really work out for a lot of people. Like I just said, no whistling. Yeah. Last year's palette did kind of fall down in the sense that all of it was orange. The whole thing was orange, it was warm, and it kind of felt like it didn't work for a lot of people. It was a really bold palette, and I think this year is like the subtle little sister of last year's palette. Or maybe the elegant aunt of last year's palette, who knows? I don't know. I like this palette a lot more. I think I'll get a lot more use out of it personally. It's just a good deal. If you've never tried Charlotte Tilbury's formula, I think that this is a great place to start. Why is he like this? Ultimately, this is a holiday palette, and I think it'd be a really great gift to give somebody, and that's all I have to say, I think. If you are a person that likes sales, this palette will most likely go on sale at VIB time, which is usually November, so wait until then to buy it if you are interested in buying it. I bought this one through the Charlotte Tilbury website, but you could also buy it on Sephora, probably pretty soon here. It's not on Sephora when I'm filming this, but it usually comes up then a couple of weeks after it launches on the website. So those are the teas. I think that's pretty much everything I have to say about it. How it ranks among my other palettes, I think that this, as of now, is my #1, if I'm being honest. Like even more so than Pat McGrath's new palette, which, yeah, I think I'm gonna say it, full stop. It's better than Pat McGrath's new palette. But they definitely serve different purposes, they're in different realms. As of now, this is my #1 palette. I said it. I said what I said. If you liked this video or found it helpful, it would help me out if you actually liked the video. And then subscribe for more videos from me. I'll see you at the same time, same place next week. Bye. Is it gonna hurt your feelings if I cut that out?
No, not at all. Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Hi. I guess I'm done. You know what? I'm done.